allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, so tonight we're going to start with the organizational meeting minutes. The trustees, you guys do not have copies of these yet. I'm just going to refer to them as articles, and you will give copies later on. So we have a resolution. Each one it's a resolution. The first one is the annual meeting. This is to be set the first Tuesday of the month following the normal annual village election of 2015-2016 at 7 o'clock in the usual meeting public place. Number two is to appoint the different officers or positions. The village clerk is Roxanne for a 2-year term. Village deputy clerk Laura Gonzalez for a 1-year term. Deputy mayor Mike Wyant for a 1-year term. Village administrator Jim Lynch, 1-year term. Village attorney Steve Primo, Primo and Hills Law Firm, 1 year. Village Chief of Police, Martin Yerber, 1 year. Village Code Officer, Don Ryan, 1 year. Village Engineer, Doug Miller of Miller Engineering, 1 year. Village Insurance Agent, Vickery Insurance, for the term of 1 year. Section 3 is for Planning Board and ZBA board appointments. We're going to hold off on that and revisit the next meeting. Section 4 is the undertakings. This is just following state law, saying who has to be part of the undertaking and the amount per limits. Section 5, declaring the village board meetings to be held on the first and third Tuesday of every calendar month at 7 o'clock at the Village Hall. The Section 6 says that we're going to follow any existing rules or procedures for the village board meetings, if any. One thing that I am changing for the public meetings is that normally the village board does take holiday summer hours for June, July, and August, where they would normally meet the first Tuesday at 7 o'clock and the third Tuesday at 5:30 just for abstract approval. I am going to be taking that out and going for holding both the first and third Tuesday just because of the projects that we have going forward. I think we're going to need the time to make sure we're here and present. If everyone's okay with that. Section 7 and Section 7 gives the village board and the clerk office to pay any normal bills. These normal bills are such as national grid bills that have to be paid on time and then approved later on by the trustees. Section 8 just says when everybody's going to be paid. Mayors and trustees twice annually. Village administrator and all other employees will be paid bi-weekly. Number 9 is to set up the bank, just to let everybody know what bank we're using. It is still NBT Bank. Number 10 just is authorizing the village clerk or treasurer to invest in temporary investments. These mainly just go for savings accounts and money market, other options for short term. Section 11 just says the village attorney has to authorize and make sure that the policies are fine for the village, on behalf of the village. Section 12 is the mileage reimbursement for any office officials, and we're going with the federal rate, which I believe is 55.5 cents. Section 13 is the one that's like Section 7, just authorizing any payment of utility services, postage, rates, normal charges to the office, with subject to board approval. Section 14 says the village clerk and treasurer is designated as the official licensing officer. Section 15 says the village board member and or the mayor may establish a special meeting according to certain Article 7 of the Public Officers Law and open meetings. Section 16, the village clerk treasurer is authorized to establish a $100 petty cash fund. Section 17, the village clerk is hereby designated as the tax collector. Section 18, we're going to say the village register will be used as the official publication. Section 19 is the village board liaisons. The following are going for the police department will be myself. Enterprise Fire Department will be Dave Pendergast. Phoenix School District will be Andrew Bittel. Park and Recreations will be Andrew Bittel. The DPW will be Mike Wyant. Public and Zoning will be Dave Pendergast. And the Town of Screwful will be myself.
Can you just go through that list and make sure it's not much?
Section 20, procurement policies are going to be the current procurement policies that are in place and required by law. Section 21 and 22, we're going to look at these later on, but they are the sexual harassment policy and the workplace violence prevention policy. Section 23, we have nobody named yet, but it's just authorizing certain individuals to attend different conferences without board authorization, just pre-authorization. I don't have anybody in there currently, so I don't have to worry about that section.
The last one is just to seek a resolution stating that unless otherwise reflected in the minutes, the board deals with is going to take true action for secret purposes, including this resolution tonight, which means it'd be 21 days. Yeah, 20. Yeah, that'd be 24.
Section 24 is just secret resolutions. Anything that the board does approve, it will just be subject to general approval.
The board can consider all these as rather than doing individual adoption resolution, unless someone takes exception to a certain part of these, the board's inclined to approve them all. You can do it.
Is there any questions on anything that was discussed?
I have one. We approve anything tonight, it's a draft form. Is that correct? Since we're still revising the document. So
What happens is the
this isn't in the law, so sort of it's a practice with both boards, is that you will receive draft minutes to review and either agree with, or if you see the amendment in error, you know, it can be correct or something like that. And then at a later meeting, the board would normally approve minutes. Just by way of example, the one thing you've got, does everybody have a copy of that? The February meeting minutes were approved, so there's a little note on there, and it sort of brings it all to light.
I mean, specifically this document we're going over, section 1324, what we would approve tonight would be a draft document and give it further verification next meeting.
No, you'd be approving the resolutions tonight. You would just later on get a look at the written adopted resolutions to verify that in fact is what you approved. And then you think back and say, no, we didn't approve that, or you raised the issue at that point.
Can I get a motion to approve the organizational meeting resolution?
Motion.
I get a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next, we're going to start with our Doug Miller from Miller Engineers. Any updates?
We got several items we've been working on. Last week we met with Oswego County Health and New York State DOH on the water connection, the Metropolitan Water Board line. Meeting went well. We reviewed the preliminary plans with all parties there and had positive results. This Thursday, with the snow finally cleared, we plan to go out and dig some test pits. We're working with Dave D'Angelo over at Metropolitan Water Board. Dave's going to be there. John Kirby's going to go out, we're going to do some test pits. We're going to do some geotechnical investigation on soil bearing capacities. What we plan to do at this time is use a pre-engineered structure to house the connection points in. There'll be a meter, there'll be some chemical feed, and chlorine injection. And then telemetry going with the current tank. So that's kind of where we are. We hope to have bid documents ready in probably about a month or so. And at that time we'll get the approval from the health department, Oswego County with building. So he had a couple comments for us about the major. So we should be right on target where we want to be. We're working on the belt press building. For the belt press, for the wastewater plant. Jim, we've got an alternate design for the building. We looked at a block structure, and we've been able to go back and look at brick and block and a steel building. And we're doing some value engineering right now for cost estimating purposes. We should have that ready to roll at the same time. We should be able to do that here shortly too. And with that, we also have to get the PDC approval on that action. We've been monitoring flows in the wastewater system. I actually gave Jim a printout this evening of some of the activity that we had last week with the meltdown and the rain event. There was a spike on Friday. There were some significantly higher flows than what we normally see. We've got that all documented, and part of what we're doing is, you've seen around town, we've got 4 piezometers, we've got a rain gauge. Piezometers are measuring the depth of the groundwater, and then we're comparing that to the capacity flows for infiltration into the existing system. So we're working on that, and you may see us from time to time out there chasing some manholes. To see where the flows actually are. We've got that in real time for anyone who's interested. We have it on an iCloud basis, so we monitor that, and we've initiated the swim model to model the assimilated capacity of the wastewater system. We also we completed that 750, part 750 permit that said that the wastewater plant and the pump station was in compliance this year. And the good thing was last week when we had the rain, there was no recorded sanitary sewer overflow, which had been in the past, so things are moving forward. That's it. And not check it. Good enough.
Any questions from the board members?
You said to chlorinate the water from the new tap in.
Yep.
The water isn't chlorinated when it's pumped out of the lake?
The water comes chlorinated here, but there's a requirement from the health department that we have the capacity to rechlorinated.
Okay.
And then take samples.
And the new building for the belt press, will that have to be insulated and heated?
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
So where do we stand with the bathhouse?
That house should be ready to roll with the weather breaks, right, Jim?
Yeah, we got an extension as necessary from the weather conditions last year, but as soon as, maybe by the next meeting, you'll see some activity down there. The DPW is still gonna run some plumbing and some electrical, but we're about 2 weeks away from starting that back up. We're gonna hit it pretty hard and try to get it ready for the boating season. We're just going over a few modifications we changed, but we're on schedule.
One last thing, Jim and Roxanne and I have been talking the past week about the MS4 reporting.
Yeah.
Right? Village of Phoenix is an MS4. It's an acronym for stormwater compliance. So there's a report, kind of looks like this. On an annual basis, the village contracts with regional planning. There's 6 components to the report. 3 of those components are done through regional planning on a contract basis, right? And it's education, public participation. I haven't been from they still remind permits that were given out, maintenance that the village has done within the system. So, the next couple of weeks we'll be putting that together, and then we'll just have to advertise that we've done it.
In the past, there's been a separate contract in the village for the engineers for the other 3 components. Are used to put something together, present the village for that?
Yes.
Okay. It's in reports due, right?
May.
Yeah, the requirements are that it has to be ready for May 1st.
Yeah.
It's due June 1st, but there's a 30-day comment period where, it has to be posted here and everybody can look at it and any comments they want.
Yeah, the mayor and Trustee Pendergast and Roxanne are real familiar with this, new trustees. In the past, we always had the local engineer do that. Part of it, so I don't know if I missed something. So you're gonna have a report done about the interview.
Yeah, I can tell you, there's 6 parts to the annual MS4 report.
Yeah.
The first part is public education and outreach.
Yeah, we contract with CNY for that.
So that's CNY. Public involvement, public participation, that's CNY.
Okay.
Illicit discharge, detection, and elimination, that would be something that would be done by the village. Construction site, stormwater, and basically what that says is what was the construction activity in the village. And a quick review of what I've seen here is in the past, there really hasn't been a lot that has dictated stormwater plans and disturbances of over an acre of land. And then post-construction stormwater management, those would be things that John will be doing down at DPW. And then pollution prevention, good housekeeping. How much salt are you putting on the roads? How much fertilizer do you use on the parks? That type of stuff. So I mean, It's, not a lot, but it's significant.
And what I was, do you have a number in mind? I'm doing ask the board for authorization tonight. Do you have a number in mind? And, I mean, the scope of work is set by the statute and regulations, so, but I mean, do you, because I know you're going ahead of the report to get a written timeline.
Yeah, and I asked the board
For
for authorization.
authorization for,
I mean, I can work with Jim and get a number over here in the next day or so, but it shouldn't be. You know, my recommendation would be to work with Roxanne and maybe John and Jim to try to make this sustainable. So it's something that in the future, you know, a lot of it, if we're reporting to the DPW, we can just, you know, do a checklist real quick.
Any other questions? From the board? Yeah, thank you, John. Kristen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christy Lamanche. I am the grant writer for the village. For those of you who are new to the board, welcome. I've been the grant writer now for, oh my goodness, a long time. And I provided to you a summary tonight of where we're at with the numerous grant programs that we have going on. I didn't ask to speak because I don't really have anything new. So I would just leave you with this summary. I would ask you to take a look through it. It shows you where we're at with each project and the progress that needs to be made over the next several months to meet our end dates and to utilize the funding that has been awarded to us. And I welcome you all to contact me if you'd like more information. I can come up and meet with all of you on an individual basis or collectively. And any new ideas that you have that you would like to pursue within the village grant-wise, please feel free to contact me. And I will just leave you with the fact that in the next month and a half, the consolidated funding application will be announced, which is the major source of grant funds for New York State on an annual basis. And it includes everything from some of the funds that we've gotten for the canal improvements, the community development block grant, which was a sanitary sewer project that we've gotten in the past, the New York Main Street program, which is currently going on, and then a lot of other types of programs offered through New York State are available through that competitive grant process. Again, the request for proposals will be announced in about the next month and a half, with an application deadline somewhere in July or early August. They usually give us about 6 to 8 weeks turnaround time. So if you have any new ideas, I welcome you to email me or call me and we can start talking about them and see if it's something that we can put together for this upcoming funding opportunity.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
There was recently announced that there's over 3 years, $200 million going to be put out from the state government for infrastructure changes improvements. Is that grant writing, and it's coming up in the next month and a half or so, are those funds, the $58 million that's out this year, is that part of that grant writing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually was talking to a representative from Assemblyman Barclay's office yesterday about some of those funds, and it's a little unclear where those funds are going to be coming out, if they're going to be part of the consolidated funding application. It could be a new grant program administered through Empire State Development. It could go through the Community Development Block Grant, which is the Office of Housing and Community Renewal. We don't quite know yet where it's going to go. There's been a lot of speculation, so it'll be interesting to see when the RFP comes out where they put that money and how we access those funds. But it would definitely be something worthwhile, not only for the sewer side, but possibly your drinking water situation as well.
Thanks. Now, this is silly, but I have to find anything
No,
now.
yeah. I appreciate your effort, Bill, because I've been looking too, so.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Next, we'll move into mayor and trustee comments. I do not have any comments at this time. Start on Dave.
What's up, Jim, comes up, I guess, questions?
Andrew?
I have a request. My background and my current occupation beyond this is IT management, technology management, computers, all that sort of stuff. And experience to take a look at the technology and the use by the village, see what we can do to either optimize it, streamline it, or just understand it a little better. And I just wanted to ask, see if that's okay with the board, or anybody has any objections to working with Roxanne and Jim on making that happen, see where we can either save on or make it work.
Any problems with the board? Okay. Thank you. We'll go on to the department reports. Chief, you want to start off?
Yeah, the only thing I have, I noticed the other day driving around that the village is littered with trash, you know, with the snow melting. So there's a handful of officers that are going to go out on Earth Day on the 22nd of April, and we're going to try to clean up the village. If anybody wants to join me, we're going to meet at the village hall noonish. The town or the village will have garbage bags. Jim's expressed an interest in maybe having some of the other village employees help us out. So we're going to try to clean up the village a little bit.
Jim?
Okay, I'd first like to request to take a peek at the Harris local government proposal that's in front of you. Harris is the company that we get our software from called FlexiBuild, if I'm not mistaken, right, Roxanne? That we do our water, sewer, and refuse reports and billing through. And we need a little bit of training from them. They offer us a two full days training for Roxanne, and I would assume Laura and myself, whoever wants to participate, for the cost of $1,800. I think it will be money well spent. There's a little learning curve there. And to couple that with, on June 8th, I have Thai Sales coming in. And Thai Sales is the company that we purchased our water meter reading equipment from. Correct, Roxanne? The equipment that we use to read our water meters. And they're going to come in 1 week prior to our next meter reading date of June 15th to train entire staff who uses the meters in the DPW. So, you know, along with switching over to an alternate water source in the near future, we need to get a good handle on our building, and that'll be a good start. So I'm asking, the Thai sales at this point is going to be free of charge. Our sales representative is trying his best to get that to happen. If it changes, I'll let you know. But I'm asking for authorization to schedule some training through Harris Local Government for our FlexiBuild software training.
Any questions?
Training's done here on site, so.
Yes, Dave.
I have a question as well. The quote seems to indicate it's an hourly rate. Is the $1,800 an estimate or is it an actual cost?
That's an actual cost. It actually started out $2,400, right, Roxanne? And we talked to them, and now they're down to $1,800 for 2 full days.
And that's for free.
I think that's for anybody, correct me if I'm wrong, Roxanne, who in the office wants to participate. And I think it's very necessary. And we're learning as we go. Roxanne's looking at it and learning as she goes, and we're helping her out with the phone. But I think to be quote unquote streamlined, this is a good way to start.
Any other questions?
If the board's going to consider who it is tonight, just, can we just put a cap on the travel expenses, drop dead date and rendering the services, because they got in here that the acceptance of the quote authorizes them to proceed in the discovery phase and finalization of requirements. Once received, we will confirm receipt provided with an estimated date of completion. So it's almost like a generic letter they use for supplying, software or something like that. So it's, just, and then it's quotes only for 30 days, so you just want to get a drop dead date for when they're going to get in here, and maybe just put a cap on their expenses so you don't get for the hotel bill.
But from the way I read this, the hourly rate and the travel expenses is included.
Okay. It will include the hourly training costs plus travel. I don't know,
So should not exceed that amount.
I guess maybe just clarify it, because it says include the hourly training cost plus travel expenses. I guess you agree. You know, if that's the case, then I should just get a drop dead date for when they're going to get here. And do it, so.
To do that. I read it as everything's included for 30 days, but I'll confirm that.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, no, I don't have any problem with approving it, just, you know, it sounds like something that you're expecting to do right away, right? Pretty soon, in a few weeks.
Yeah, soon. What do you think, Roxanne?
He was gonna come like the third week of June.
Yes, so if you approve it, and just say provide the services are ready no later than, you know, July 15th or something like that. You know, whatever your date is.
Can I get a motion to approve this?
So,
And a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right, I've put a few other letters of interest in your packet there, but we can touch on those. You know, you can call me, you get some time to resolve those and see what's going on. But as far as a couple more things that I have tonight is, this is preliminary for, well, I guess not. This is for Dave and Ryan and Steve. I spoke with the actual owner of Seaway Construction who did the work at Brandybrook. And I just want the new board members to know that they need to act on this fairly quick because we've been working on this issue for about a year now. We have a situation that needs to be rectified. However, the owner of the company seems to think that there is not a problem. Roxanne, I don't know if you know the exact number, but he has not been paid in full, correct?
Correct.
So, the gentleman that came to the site before to represent Seaway Sales says that he would do whatever was necessary to help us find a solution to the problem. Well, that's not how it is now. The owner called me back today and says, he won't attend a meeting, he won't put anything in writing, he doesn't believe there's a problem because it was signed off and inspected by a previous engineer, but he will meet me and anybody who wants, from the board who wants to meet him at the site to answer any questions that we have. Hey, this is a question for you, we've talked about it, I just don't know how to, you know.
We're holding some retained, right, so obviously we don't pay that. Is the problem entirely the sinkholes?
That's all that I can see out there, but there's a significant amount of.
No, I know that, but it's the extent of the problem is these sinkholes.
I believe so.
And this guy's saying now he's gonna rely on the fact that there's an inspection.
Yeah, he says the system is working properly.
Yeah.
Sinkholes are gonna happen, soil settles, filming, and eventually will be gone. I'm not an engineer, I don't know how to answer that, but it just doesn't seem right to me. Doug, you've been up there, correct? I don't know if it wasn't your project, but I don't know if you want to chime in and help us out, but, got anything?
I'd be happy to go out again if it comes out.
So assuming he's not gonna go out, I mean, from what you saw out there, is it just the soil they used, what do you think was done wrong, you know?
It's hard to say without going back and doing some kind of investigation.
Yeah.
You know, we go out and do geotechnical investigation, we got, you know.
I mean,
Have a geotech coming out on Thursday, I can have them go over and take a look.
yeah, you know, it's the thing, I mean, if we start with a scientific study of it, we're gonna heat up their containers that we can probably use for whatever fill's gotta be put in there periodically, maybe we're better off going that route. I mean, months ago, I, you know, saw this thing going downhill when we first discussed it, and I was surprised to hear the guy that's being responsive, because he's relying now on the fact that there's a site up in his contract.
Right.
If there, you know, what do you think the retainage is, Roxanne?
It's not much.
Not much.
A couple thousand, 4,000 bucks.
A couple thousand.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my feeling is, look, if someone's coming out the Tim, maybe just have him go over and take a quick look at it. If he's got some revelation, you know, great. Otherwise, let's address the problem with the money that we've got, and we're gonna, you know, if it turns out to be something substantial, then, you know, maybe we go after Seaway. It might be one of these things where it's more cost efficient to just, you know, walk away. The state was made on our end, and there's not a whole lot we're gonna be able to do about it if we in fact signed off on it, which is, you know.
Now, Jim, do you, it's been filled before.
Yeah.
Several times.
What do we use? Do we use the same thing over and over, or we try something different every time?
They use rocks, they use dirt, they use lots of different fills.
Yeah, but Doug, do you know if they use that fillable flow?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. They put some dye tested it, and they tried to do different things, but as far as filling the centrals, I think it was just gravel, stone, dirt.
They use pavement, they use lots of different things.
When you say they, you know what Seaway?
I don't know.
John Irving usually fills it.
Yeah, so Seaway's never been out there doing anything substantial.
I think just
I used to mold different fill, there's different patterns for fill, and then we
Last year in front of 14, I think it was early last summer, in front of 14 grannies were Seaway or one came in and filled everything. Between 14 and 16 grannies were.
Yeah. So let's take a look at it and have the hydrogeologist look at it, and let's, you know, I mean, we've got to resolve the problem. I mean, it's been sitting out there for over a year now.
Well, it's been about 3 years since we did that project.
No, I mean, this particular problem's been over a year, right? You know, just
No, it's been all 3 years. The very spring after they finished,
yeah.
we had all put prayers in.
It's all supposed to be a good thing, right? You know, yeah. I mean, we're just gonna have to resolve it. If there's an action there, if there's a lawsuit, then we'll take action. I mean, you know, first thing is let's take care of their problem and figure out what the cost is, and then we'll see which way to proceed with the contractor. But, you know, I'm concerned that we did in fact sign off.
Is there any paperwork saying that we did sign off on it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did, or else they wouldn't have paid that much.
All right, so we have a game plan going forward. Doug will look at it too.
Yeah.
Jim, is the system, the new system down there, is it working properly?
I can't speak as a resident or a homeowner, but I haven't had any issues or anything come to me about it not performing.
As far as residents and homeowners can tell, everything's functioning fine.
So the main object is just leaves sinkhole where it's settled.
Well, it's not settling, it's usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them a car with
It's doing a lot of different things. Sometimes, I mean, it's washing out up by the road, it's sinking in the yard, it's very strange. And is it Doug? You've never had issues prior to this project, have you? That's what I told the owner.
Is there a spring underneath it or something that nobody knows about maybe?
No, but they got every water line that goes across the sewer main. Every house on the other side of the street, their water line crosses the sewer main. So they had to cut every one on and splice it. They left all the old laterals in the ground without filling them, so they might be traveling water down to that new main. And every place they cross the road with their main, it's dropped a lot. I mean, there's been days this winter, I swear to God, I see rear axle on that plow truck coming here from the plow tank to the other side of that thing. He has 13, he got it. Got it.
Well, I personally just want to kind of get it taken care of this.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, let's get a handle on what we've got to do to repair it, what the cost is, and I'm going to suggest the board take action on that, because it's, you know, we've got to finish this project, and if there's an action against the contractors, then we'll look at pursuing that. But, you know, as I said, I'm concerned because its sign-off is indicative of our engineer's recognition that the project was substantially completed. You have a tough time to pursue a case like that after you signed off on it. So, you know, our warranty period expired and a lot of things passed. So the bond, you know, we're that far past it.
So we'll wait until Thursday to find out more. We'll go out and look at it.
I have a somewhat related question. Is that the same company we used for the work down at State Mechanic?
No.
Really different place.
My last question is, we had an individual call at the office today. It posed an interesting question. We have down here on the corner of Culver and State Street, every year you have the produce stand, flowers and produce. It's on private property. Now, the owner of that private property is going to lease some space to another stand, which happens to be an enclosed trailer, wanting to sell bait. I have no problem with that, but he wanted to know if he needs to fill out and pay for a hawker's permit. And Steve, I don't know how that's handled on somebody's private property.
Well, sounds like there's a potential zoning issue, you know, the stand is there, but then, you know, it's known as a non-conforming use, it pre-existed the zoning. I mean, I don't know, you know, but this new proposed use has got to be within, it's got to be permitted use within the zoning, and you're talking about some sort of a trailer or something like that.
And
So, yeah, and then, you know, a separate issue is whether or not they have to apply for, you know, a peddler's permit, you know, and very, you know, our permitting process, like most municipalities, has some exclusion for agricultural sales and things like that. So it's almost a minor issue. The more significant issue is what do they want to do and what's the property zone for. So that, and then initially would be Don's, I think, call to take a look at it and figure out whether or not it's a permitted use. And if it's a permitted use, then, you know, then I'll take a look at the code and see what they've got, you know, do permit. Peddler's permit's nothing, but it's a form you fill out and pay the fee.
Right. I just, you know, we're all for the, you know, growth, but I don't want to let a carnival down there on Sunday long. So how do you know when to stop putting?
You just start putting food trucks in.
How do you know when to?
That's the code enforcement officer. Anything initially like that, you go to the code enforcement officer. He's either going to issue a permit for it or a denial of a permit, which sends that applicant to, you know, the board, the planning board, the zoning board for relief, or the town board if it's a zone change they need. So, in the first instance, it should be the code enforcement officer who makes the determination as to whether or not it's what's being proposed is legal for that parcel.
The previous person on that corner had a trailer there before.
No, this is an additional trailer.
And
You're gonna have a produce and plant trailer there, and, well, from what I gather, he's gonna stay there, he's gonna be there again this year, and now there'll be another trailer, some bait. See what I mean? So it'll be two, I just don't know land usage, how many trailers, again, I'm all about business, but how do you know how many things you can put on one lot?
It's a code enforcement officer's call, because there's a lot of other things that come, like I said, you know, it could be a non-conforming use, but the use itself is there. You know, it might predate the existing zoning, and that's why it's legal. This could be entirely, you know, in violation of our zoning code, and then you don't even get into density issues and things like that. But if it's a permitted use in the zoning district, then you look at density and setbacks and things like that. You know.
Or it's gonna be used commercially, here on the board, maybe it needs to be rezoned commercial.
Yeah, but it's, yeah, so all that's a good point, and all, you know, all that in the first instance should be code enforcement officer. And he dictates the next step.
Other than that, I'm good.
Any questions for Jim?
Jim, these two fences,
Yep.
is that for down here behind?
Yeah, again, I didn't want to inundate you with all this stuff, but that was another proposal I put in the file there. We have an issue with the dumpsters in the village. The dumpster on the municipal parking lot behind Dusty's. I'm working with the building owners from 86th State Street and Dusty's to pay for their own enclosure, but a real professional enclosure with the privacy straps inside a chain link fence, no wood structures. And I think we need to do something down here in our lower lot, and I'm getting proposals for that right now as well. Just want to make sure that if you guys are interested in me getting proposals, I need to do something over there because it's not being paid for by us. I just want to make sure it's done properly while I'm doing it. I want to introduce the idea of doing something down here.
Are these all dumpster enclosures?
Yeah. We have a law.
Yeah, I say, well, we have a local law, plus there was a deal with 86 State Street.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with 86 State Street. They're letting me,
Yeah.
we have 2 areas of concern and we want them to be consistent.
Yeah.
So they're okay with 86 State Street because that was part of their deal. They put their slab on and put a dumpster enclosure in. The one that was down here, quite frankly, was done by the DPW with some stockade fences. It worked, but we're constantly repairing it, putting Band-Aids on it, and the gate's always left open, and it's across from the park and the restaurants. I just like to kind of close it up, clean it up, and it's gonna cost a couple $1,000, but I just want to make sure it's something I can pursue and then present you with proper bids.
Yeah, it's a local law was adopted about 7 or 8 years ago, and there hasn't been much enforcement. Part of the reason is the village can't very well enforce local law when violating ourselves.
Well, we're not violating because ours is closed, but
Yeah.
it's not done in a professional manner. It was done to the best of the DPW ability at the time.
Yeah.
So again, that's a new file there. I just want to make sure you're okay with me. I'm pursuing it for 86 State Street, and I thought it would be nice to couple hours with it to be consistent.
And what about Butler coming in twice a week and emptying these down here?
Yep, you're all set with that.
He's gonna do it, okay.
Yep, both of them, maybe even the one behind the fire department, if he wants to check it, but, yeah, we talked about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And if you also notice, Dave, that the county and the state came in and picked up their signs and their sandbags from the county patrol that you talked
Okay.
about. So, we're good with that.
Thanks.
Is there gonna be any trash pickup in the bathhouse down there? Do they do anything in that proposal?
They would be you guys. So when I say that you'd have to, at the park, we'll just empty the trash cans that are in the bathhouse as they do around the park, bring it over to the dumpster area. Hence one more reason, it's gonna collect more trash, nicer to keep it enclosed. But yeah, it's not a separate pickup for it, but it's gonna generate more trash.
Any other questions for Jim? Move on to attorney. Attorney Tom?
I have nothing to report, just, Jim, I'm just looking at this letter from Glenn Miller, I've looked at.
Yeah, that's just one that's been kind of hanging out there.
Yeah, is he called at all, or?
He emails me frequently.
Yeah. There's I think we talked about this in the prior meeting, but there's a owner of a 4.3 acre parcel, between J. Dillon Middle School and CSX railroad tracks. He wants to zone it to commercial. I had a couple of conversations with him and sort of dancing around, but, the board's position has always been, especially because our zoning code is so liberal with respect to, you have very few zoning districts, and within commercial, a lot of things you can do. It's been sort of the zone change is considered to limit the uses within that zone change, via restricted covenant or something like that. So he indicates here he filled out a general application. He's sort of looking for input from the board. It's sort of not something we would normally do, but Jim said it does require from time to time. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the parcel, but I'd take a look at it, but, you talked about apartments at one time, but,
He threw out a few ideas, but that was our thought. I'd like to have him give us a proposal on what he wants to put there.
all right.
And that would help you change.
And he wants to know what the board would not want to see there, so, just sort of.
It would be really nice to know what you want back there. As a kid, I used to,
Trail that you walk during school.
well, it goes further north, and there's a bunch of open woods and everything. But it's really close to the school. So, if we're going to zone a commercial, get from nobody's interested in doing it, or we just throw in a factory.
So that was kind of our plan, Steve, if you remember, that's why we said, well, give us an idea of your grand plan, what you want to put there. That'll kind of help us make the decision that much easier, but we never had, we didn't know, we just thought it would be easier to market a commercially zoned parcel as opposed to a residential building lot.
Yeah, and then the board's not gonna consider just a flat out zone change to commercial and sort of make it clear to them, so, I don't, you know, I don't know if there's really anything to do any further on this. He's
Alright.
filled out an application, I don't think he paid any filing fees or anything like that, it's just sort of a feeler to put out there, but.
Can they come see us and talk to us about it?
That's what I had said to him originally, was normally someone coming before the board and just give him thoughts and do this, but the problem I always run into is, you know, the zone change is granted without any conditions, and then, you know, the property sold, or the buyer changes their mind, it's a bad economic market, all of a sudden, what was gonna be something the board liked is now a convenience store, gas pumps, and that kind of thing. We did have a bad experience.
Right across the street from this property.
Yeah. With the zone change. Yeah. But there was restricted covenant, I mean, we should have caught that one, you know, since I went through the way it was approved, so. The only other thing I have to report is really, sort of a, you know, status report, is that we are at a standstill presently with, the extension of our water line down to the plaza for dairy, the Fox Chevrolet. They're working out amongst themselves who's going to bear what percentage of the expense of that, and until they go back to the village with their agreement, we can't really write anything up for that. And you know, this was a request that was made by Joel Arsenal originally, I think based on the fact that he acquired knowledge of the Burn Dairy extension. I've never talked to the owner of Fox Chevrolet. He has. There's also a dentist there. All the contact has been amongst them, and the request was originally from Arsenal to the approach to the village from time to time. So we're ready to go. We've been very cooperative with them, and we're ready to go once they've got their numbers worked out. Brew Dairy also has a separate issue with their sanitary sewer connection with the DEC, and you know, again, we have dealt with that at the village level. It's all related to our consent order, but you know, at this point in time, Burn Dairy has gone to the DEC with some information supplied by me, and we're making sure of a direct appeal for the sanitary sewer hookup. And so we're at a standstill on both of those, but you know, we haven't dropped the ball or you know, delayed the ball. Oh, that's it.
Any questions for the chair? We'll move on to the abstract for payment. Has everybody had a chance to review the abstract, number 3? Any questions on the abstract? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve abstract number 3 dated 4/7/2015 in the amount of $122,464.72?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any motion carried? We don't have any old business. Under new business, we have a resolution of workman's comp. Steve, are you still reviewing this? It's switching over to companies. Jen, do you want to explain?
No. We're done with it, right?
No,
We
it
never
was
officially-
self-insurance.
Yeah. And the second resolution, was it the only entry? I mean, as far as the claim is concerned, I was down at, I wasn't reviewing for that, but there were a couple of resolutions they proposed and they sent to me, but I'm fine with everything. We adopted the one resolution, did we not?
We did.
Okay, so the
Are they looking for the second resolution? Let's wait till the next meeting. I get it, it makes no sense to me why they,
Alright, so we'll hold off until the next meeting for that. We do have facility use requests. We have a request from Baldwinsville Lions Club to use Lock Island on June 27th and 28th, same date as the fireworks here in Phoenix. From 10 to 4 on the 27th and from 10 to 3 on the 28th.
For purposes.
It's for craft show.
Okay.
is they gonna interfere with fireworks stuff?
No, they're Friday night.
Right. Also, might want to just say it's the Phoenix Lions Club is merging with the Baldwinsville Lions Club. And it's the weekend of the fireworks. Well, fireworks is Friday night, and it's Saturday.
Saturday.
So you really don't count. Actually, I think it's good.
Would it be in this part of the island? Or up?
Side of the pavilion, or?
So they take it on the whole.
Yeah.
No
This,
crazy.
yeah,
It's going to be at the other side.
Pavilion side? Between the bridges? Between the bridges, pavilion side?
okay.
I thought it was on block and then so not more fun.
Yeah, it'd be quite the crash show.
Okay.
They had a show a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? They had some rides and some.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon.
Good done.
There's quite a bit of room over there, actually.
So the other side of the water transit?
I believe it's on Lock Island, right here.
It is.
Yeah, it's on the
North
right.
Island is where the boat plant
Okay.
launches, Lock Island is where the pavilion is. Lock Island is where they have the canal days and all that stuff.
Can I get a motion to approve? Lions Club. Wait a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. The next one is for the community garage sale. They just want to hang a banner up to just display times and dates. Can I get a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passed. Next one is Community Youth Council requesting Henley Park. July
and August, every Monday and Friday.
from 6 to 8, and this is for just the music in the park. Any motion? Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Any motion? Passed. The next one is the Southern Oswego County Councils of Churches. They want to do a community picnic on August 1st from 11 to 3 in Henley Park. I got a motion to approve the use. And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Anything else from the board member? Anything else from the department?
The only thing I had on music in the parks, I didn't see a community band on there, did they not apply?
I'm not sure, I don't care what hands that with,
I know we usually
Christie's
play
home.
over there.
It's something different.
Yeah, the community van, as far as the Friday night goes, which I help Carol coordinate, that's usually not in our schedule of events. I don't know whether it's a town scheduled function or if it's something completely separate. The concert series that you were just discussing is part of the community arts grant that the village and the town get each year for the Monday and Friday concerts. And it's usually 6 to 8 events, at least for the Friday night portion. And Carol does all that scheduling, so I don't know who does the community band.
The list of bands, though, is in your,
Yes,
Yeah.
the Friday night schedule, good job, Steve. The Friday
Yeah, I
night
saw the
schedule
list,
is
okay.
on my summary because those are the bands that Carol and I work with and have issued the contracts to for this coming season.
Any other comments?
Roxanne, as these things come up, though, just, you gotta be real careful with the insurance on something, you know. As they come in, you gotta make sure you get the insurance, you know. We're gonna have some issues, they can imagine, because of the nature of the groups, but they, just, like, the craft show, they have rides there.
Out here it doesn't say that, but I know in the past, that was their event.
So just, you know, as the events come up, we just gotta, make sure we just, you know, look at their insurance, and we're gonna run into issues that it's not a perfect fit all the time, but, you know, just at least, make sure it's something.
Okay, if there's no other comments from the board or departments, we go ahead and open up to public comments. Just remember, we are following the guidelines on the back of the agenda. If you'd like to make some public comments, raise your hand.
Hello, everybody. Savannah, Gateway, 43 Spring Street. There was talk about doing an Earth Day event, getting people in the community together. I didn't know if there was possibility to leverage, obviously, the youth in the community as far as reaching out to the high school, the middle school, possibly letting those count as community service hours. Graduation is right around the corner. Some people may be missing a couple of hours.
Yeah, we already did that.
Okay.
They're coordinating that with us.
Okay, I just didn't know, because I know it
I'll
was,
do the leadership group.
Check your Boy Scouts group.
I do not.
because it was said it was on the 22nd. I mean, personally, a lot of us in the room tend to work during those hours.
Right.
So I don't know if we could do something to where it was on the 25th, that Saturday, because I personally wouldn't have a problem helping out, as with a lot of parents and everything like that. So I think that if we could move it, obviously Earth Day is the 22nd, but that may be something we could leverage a little bit more community support on.
Well, Earth Day is on the 22nd, but we can always look down in the future, actually doing a sponsored weekend cleanup day.
I just thought it would be an idea. I also wanted to offer what I can do to help the board. I know that Mike had mentioned as far as, you know, the technology, the infrastructure of that. I tend to do a lot of photography, whatever the case may be, graphic design, I can help out with that. So whatever, you know, the technology use is for the website, getting things out there to the community, I would like to offer that. So I open the board up to any questions that they have, and contact me.
Any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, I am going to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. I got a motion to go into executive session. Take a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Thank you.